Silence, please. Can you guys start working on question 6, please? Unfortunately, the project, the visualizer is not working. Ah, it's working now. It is working. Can you start with question 6, please? Question 6. This one here. Why there are not so many people here? I don't know why. Sitting only for the top. Can you guys start with question 6, please? Number 6. I'll give you about 5 minutes and please you can go. You guys done 6, guys? You had a... Come on, I'm disappointed with the number of people turning up. Next time I'll bring some chocolates. There'll be more people coming. All right, let's see how we can do 6. 6 part 1. X right, X has the normal distribution with these parameters. Now one of the properties I mentioned, is it this week or last week? I can't remember. I think it's probably last week. Is that if X has this distribution, what distribution will this have? Talk to me, guys. Right? This is one of the properties I mentioned in the class. I mean, in the lectures. It should be in the notes, in the handwritten notes I gave you. So this implies that F right? Is it clear, guys, or no? So I just used the property that I gave you in the class, which is that if X has a normal variable, X is a normal variable, then X minus mu divided by sigma is a standard normal variable. And in the final step, from here to here, phi denotes the CDF of N01. Okay, so okay, so that's question 6, part 1. Are you okay with this, guys? Anybody not clear? Now part 2 is this one. Can you look at part 2 of question 6, guys? Part 2 is to show that the quantile function of this is this, and then the interquartile range is this. Okay. All right. So now to do this, I will do this. Okay. Let me put this. There's no need to copy it down. I will scan it after the class. So this is question 6, part 2. Okay. Question 6. The quantile function. The quantile function Q of P, which is this one, right, is defined as this. Q of P is defined by the probability that if I did not tell you in the class, the quantile function of any random variable x is defined by this equation. So Q of P must satisfy the probability that x less than equal to this must be equal to P. Right? So this implies that's by by part 1. Okay. Right, and this implies that Q of P is this, right? And this implies that Q of P is equal to mu plus sigma. Right. So the quantile function is given by this. Now you may recall that the first quartile, or the first quantile, do you remember the formula for the first quartile? I mean, I talked about this 2 weeks ago. What's the formula for the first quartile? Q at what? Q at, exactly, so Q at 0.25. So it's going to be mu plus sigma times 5, 0.25. Alright, and the formula for the third quartile, or quartile, the same thing. Is Q at 0.75, right, which is defined by, so you should substitute here P equal to 0.75, you get this. Okay. Now IQR, do you guys remember what IQR is? IQR is the interquartile range, which is the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. So in other words, is Q at 0.75 minus Q at 0.25, right? So if you subtract this from this, you get sigma Now, you can read this off the table. You remember the normal table I mentioned in the class? Was it this week or last week? I can't remember. So if you read this off the table, you will get this to be 1.349 times sigma. Alright, so that completes part 2 of question 6. Any questions, guys? Are you okay with this or not? Alright, if you've done this, so part 3, just ignore part 3 because we haven't done. Ignore the part 3 of the question. Can you go to question? Can you go to question 2, please? The summary is basically the mean, median, maximum. Sorry, what am I saying? The 5-number summary is the following. It is the minimum Q at 0.25 and the median and Q at 0.75 and then the maximum, I think. Then the maximum. So these are the 5 numbers, alright? You follow me? So you have to compute the minimum, the first quartile, the median, third quartile, and the maximum. there's the attendance sheet coming around. Make sure you sign your name, please. Okay. Document. should. Anybody else who hasn't signed? No, sir, you have it. Yeah. I'll come to you, sir. Guys, have you done question 2 yet? Guys, let's look at question 2, okay? I mean, this is pretty easy stuff. You shouldn't find it difficult at all. All right? So this is question 2, part 1. Part 1 is to find the five number summary, which is, as I said, minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum. So the minimum is the smallest value in the data, which is what? 29.14, right? That's the smallest data value, right? Now to find the first quartile, which is 0.25, yeah, your P is 0.25, and your N is, what is N? N is 20. So your R, which is P times N plus 1, will be 5.25. Okay, you follow me? And R prime is the integer part of this, which will be what? The integer part of this is 5. Alright, so Q at 0.25 will be X multiplied by X. Yeah? Remember this formula. I mean, I'm sure you remember this, right? For quiz 3. Yeah. So if you use this formula, guys, you will get the number, correct me if I'm wrong, is 37.0325. This is what you got, guys. Yeah. Then the next one is the median, which is Q at 0.5. Right, so your P is 0.5, your N is 20, and your R is P times N plus 1. which is 21 divided by 2, which is 10.5. Alright, so your R prime is 10. So your Q at 0.5, sorry, 0.5 is X 10 plus 10.5 minus 10 multiplied by X 11 minus X 10. And if you do this, you will get, I'm lazy to do the computation, you will get, you guys okay? 41.186. Is this what you got, guys? Yes?
Yeah, in relation, you gave another formula for median, where you said about if...
Oh yeah, you could use that too, yeah. It's the same.
Yeah, well, which one is it? Because the other one you gave said to round it down, so you would have got 41.
It will give the same answer, sir. They will give the same answer. I mean, this formula here reduces to the formula, the other formula that I gave.
Yeah, because there's one where it said, like, if n is even, which it is in this case,
yes,
then it says take a 10th value, add it to the one above that, which is the 11th value.
Yeah.
Then it said to round that down and then half it, which would give you 41. Whereas that formula will give you some more precise. So which one should we use?
no, I think you should, unless you made some mistakes, you should get the same answer, sir. What, I mean, do you remember the formula I gave in the,
It's going on the lecture notes that says to round it down.
let me try to, I don't know, I think it's the formula that I gave in the notes is it like half times, what is it, okay, half times,
half times like the integer part of x.
no, not integer part, I just meant that's a bracket without, I didn't mean the integer part, it's just a normal bracket.
It's supposed to be normal bracket.
Normal bracket,
Right, okay.
not integer part. I'm sorry about it. It's just a normal bracket without, not the integer part.
Okay, sure.
Okay, you should get the same answer, sir. Alright, anyway, that's sorted. Now the next one, hello guys, are you with me? The next one is 0.75. So your P is 0.75, N is 20, your R is P times N plus 1, which is going to be 15.75. Your R prime is 15. Hello guys, you with me? Okay, so your Q at 0.75 will be X 15 plus 15.75 minus 15 times X 16 minus X 15. Right, and this is, if you work this out, it's going to be 44.01975. So this is the third quartile, or Q at 0.75. Okay, and finally the maximum, which is easy to find. The maximum data value is 51.261. So you got the 5-number summary, right? Okay, that's the first part. Now the second part of the question, part 2, is asking for the mean, the sample mean. The sample mean is just 1 divided by 20 times the sum of all the values. I'm sure you can do that on a calculator faster than me. Okay, so if you do that, you get the number 40.6942. That's the sample mean, right? And the sample variance The sample variance is, now I'm going to use the unbiased. You remember I gave you two formulas for sample variance. One is unbiased version, the other one is a biased version. You can use either, but I'm going to use the unbiased version here. If you use the unbiased version, it will be 1 over 20 minus 1 times the sum of this xi minus x bar squared, right? This is the unbiased version, okay? This is the unbiased version of the sample variance. And you should, hello guys, are you okay? Yeah. So if you work this out, you get 30.54. Okay. That's sample variance. That's part 2. Part 3 is to do like a frequency table, which I'm sure all of you know how to do that. You probably did this in your A level or something. So what you do is you just break up the interval. You have a column called interval. You will have a column called frequency. And then you have a column called density or relative density. Okay. So the first column is breaks up the interval from 25 to 40 into widths of 5. Okay. So it's gonna be all right. So do you see what it does? So these are the intervals from 25 to 50, right, with intervals of width 5, right? And the frequency is the number of data points falling in each interval. So you can count that. I know you could, and I'm too lazy to count, so I just write the numbers, right? So you get, there's 1 point in this interval. There are 2, 5, 8. Oh, there's one I missed, sorry, 50 to 55 also. 8, 3, 1. Okay? So, do you see how I got this? This is the number of points, or number of data that fall in each interval. Okay? And the density, which is the relative density, it just, you divide the frequency by the total number of data, which is 20. So it will be 1 divided by 20. 2 divided by 20. So this is the density, right? Okay. Is there any questions, guys, on this? You okay with this? All right. So that's number 3. And part 4 is asking you to draw a histogram. So what you have to do is to do part 4. Right, you just plot the density column versus the interval column, right, to get part 4. So that will produce what is known as the histogram. Okay, and it will look something like this. I'm just too lazy to draw anything. So you should draw the density column versus the interval column. it will look something like this, right? Obviously, I don't want to draw it because it will take me ages, right? Okay. So this is okay. As you can see, it's pretty symmetric. If you look at the histogram, you see that it's kind of symmetric. So the shape is approximate. The shape of the distribution is approximately right. Okay, guys, can you do now question 7, please? Question 7, unless you have questions on what I've done. Question 7, which is this one here. Can you see it? I actually did this in the class, but I want you to. Anyone who hasn't signed yet? Everybody signed. Okay, good guys, very good. Okay. No, it's approximately symmetric. Because you can look at the mean and the median values. If they are close, like the mean is this one, right? The median is this one. So if they are approximately equal, that means it's symmetric. Yeah. to quiz 3. You already done quiz 3, right? I mean, this question is similar to quiz 3, which you did, right? I mean, did you guys not do quiz 3 or what? So it's question 7. So suppose, okay, first suppose n is even. Okay, if n is even, I mean, I'm going to use the formula, which is, I'm sure all of you know the formula, right? Yeah, so if n is even, then, and we are, of course we are assuming p is a half, right? Because we want to find the median, right? So your r will be, which is p times n plus 1, which is p n plus 1 divided by 2, right? And your r prime is n plus 1 divided by 2, which is, so n is even, so n plus 1 is odd. So what would this be? Talk to me, guys. If n is even, what would this be? Huh? It will be n over 2, right? Is it not? Yes? I mean, did you do quiz 3, guys? Why? Alright, so your q at half will be x n over 2 plus r minus r prime, which is n plus 1 yes, okay. I'm using the formula I gave you, right? So this will be x n over 2. This minus this will be a half. Okay, and you can simplify this to get half okay. It should be, it's not square brackets, it's curly brackets. I made a mistake. Right, that's n is even. Now when n is odd, is this clear to you guys, all this? Yeah? Yes? You're right, sir. So if n is odd, r is what? R is 3 times n plus 1, which is n plus 1 divided by 2. Right? Now if n is odd, n plus 1 is even. So even divided by 2 is an integer number. Right, so r prime will be this. Yeah? Because n plus 1 divided by 2 is an integer. So the integer part of an integer is integer, right? Okay. So q at half will be x, and here you have n plus 1 by 2 minus n plus 1 by 2, which is 0. So you can ignore the rest, alright, because this is 0. So this is x n plus 1 by 2. Alright, we are done, right? So this is clear to you. I mean, I did this question in the one of the lectures, I think. Are you okay, guys? Okay. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions, just you know where to come. Right? Email me or Zoom me. Right? Thank you. Thank you, man.
See you next Wednesday.
Next week. Yeah. See you guys. Oh, thank you. Have a good day. You done already? Ah, yes, okay. Have a good day. Bye. See you guys. Bye.
Sir, is it okay to come to different hour because I cannot come late?
可以组队吗？我们一点就两个，我们只有两个。我一直都以为只有一个人，好多人好，都是一个人。对，可能是。那我们两个都错了。
那个是知道不了吗？
这时间。
那人必须走完上走。
我的手机不行，我要接上来。 Like it was like really random.